What's up, boxing fans? This is Aztec 101 in the ring. And I have a lot of information, not a lot of time. I'm going to try to compact everything into 10 minutes. I tried doing research, I just try and do a little bit historical research on boxing, trying to get down and get down to the roots. This video is focused on boxing's roots in Mexico. Mexico has provided boxing with over 100 world champions. All right. The second biggest contributor to boxing is Mexico, right behind America. America has an astounding 520 plus champions. Hard to compete with that. But I wanted to look up information, and I noticed that it was hard. It was kind of hard. It wasn't easy. The information isn't out there. I was looking up Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali, Frazier. You were looking up Lewis. These fighters, Jack Dempsey and Rocky Marciano. You look these guys up, and you end up, a lot of the information is right there. With this subject, I had to do a little bit of digging, so I know that a lot of people that want to know about this, maybe this will help you if you're looking for that information. But Mexico has provided boxing with over 100 world champions, and it had its modest starts in Mexico. When it really took off was in 1921. 1921, there was the first Mexican Boxing Commission, which was founded in Tampico, Tamaulipas, all right, Mexico. And it was basically created because before then, European and American sailors, when they would be at the port of, when they were, stationed at the port of the Gulf of Mexico, they brought boxing to Mexico, and it caught on. They would have little makeshift fights where they would use chairs as corners to make the ring and napkins as gloves. Obviously, there were a lot of accidents. And after they found out how much it had taken on, they figured they needed to have a commission to regulate things for safety. Once the commission was created, promoters started rising, and we started seeing some of the first Mexican professional Mexican boxers. And one of those is Miguel Angel Febles, or Febles. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. Also known as Mike Febles, León Veracruzano, Lion of Veracruz. And this guy is kind of weird. He's a very interesting guy. I wish there was much more information about him, because it seems as though he started off as a jiu-jitsu fighter, went to Cuba, trained in Cuba's first boxing academy. Now, that boxing academy was established by John Butnick. This was Chile's first pro boxer. He later, Mike Febles, moved back to Mexico, and around 1915 started boxing professionally, and is somewhat known as the first Mexican professional boxer in 1915. And around this era, we were in the midst of a Mexican Revolution. There is war. The country is basically divided in three. Three political figures wanting to go in three different directions. And, the boxing had really helped out. It was a really a great way for the youth to, especially the athletes, to find something to do. And 1927, out of all that influence, Chico Cisneros became the first world-rated Mexican boxer. All right, after that, you have an explosion of Mexican fighters coming out of Mexico. 1932, Los Angeles, California, Francisco Cabaña Padrón was the first Mexican to earn an Olympic medal, and he did that in the boxing ring. All right, now around the 1930s, 1940s was pretty much the golden era for boxing in general, and also Mexican boxing. But there's a guy by, and I'm going to name a few fighters. There's a man by Baby Arizmendi. He really stood out to me, all right? This guy is known for being the youngest pro boxer ever. Turned pro apparently at 13. Some records say it's before that. He was born with a mild case of polio. This guy apparently was too frail to work on the docks, so the doctors told him, you know, as a young kid, send him into the boxing ring. Maybe he can improve in there. And he actually excelled. Went on to beat the legendary Henry Armstrong with a broken wrist in their first fight, pretty much winning every round. And they fought again. They had a total of 5 fights, and Henry Armstrong got the better of Arizmendi in the last 3 fights. But you know, he was known as one of the most courageous fighters at that time. There's also Kid Azteca, great fighter, legendary fighter. A total of 252 fights, 192 wins, 114 by KO, lost 46 fights, 12 draws. All right, he started off known as Kid Chino. He fought through 5 decades of boxing. This is a guy that's like put up there with a few like Jack Johnson and Roberto Duran. All right. You also have other fighters: Juan Zurita, Joe Conde, Rodolfo Ramirez, not to be confused with Rodolfo Casanova. Rodolfo Casanova, now this is a little fun fact, had a fight with Sixto Escobar, which was the first world title fight between a Puerto Rican and a Mexican. And, you know, that's somewhat of the origin of the rivalry between Mexico and Puerto Rico, which was later, you know, magnified by other fights. But, you know, that was the first world title fight between a Mexican and a Puerto Rican. You know, we also have Manuel Ortiz, who is one of the best boxers in the 1940s. He's inducted into Boxing Hall of Fame. Kid Pancho, not to be confused with Pancho Villa, the Filipino boxer. You have Chato Velasquez, Raul Talan, Pachuca Kid Joe, and Chucho Najera, other fighters also. Then we also have the second golden era. And here we're gonna, you know, I'm just gonna breeze through some of these fighters. I'm not gonna go through every Mexican fighter. Now, this is not the entire information. This is just to spark, you know, give you a little bit of leeway, help you along your process of learning more about, you know, if you're learning more about boxing in general, or if you just so happen to be, you know, a young Mexican boxing fan that is looking into your roots. You can use this to help you look that up, and hopefully you can build upon the information that I'm giving you. Around the 1960s and up, there was a second gold era of boxing. All right, this is where you get fighters like Jose Nopales. Jose Nopales was also known as Mantequilla. Mantequilla is butter, and he got that name because of his smooth style. After Fidel Castro banned pro boxing in 1961, Nopales later defected to Mexico. This is where he became a national hero. All right, this guy's insane. He had 13 successful title fights, named Ring Fighter of the Year in 1969. He's part of the World Boxing Hall of Fame. 1999 Associated Press named Nopales the 4th greatest welterweight in the 20th century. All right. So this guy's a legend. Great legendary Mexican boxer, even though he's of Cuban descent. But still one of the best fighting out of Mexico. And you know, any boxing head, you know, I would suggest you look him up if you haven't heard about him. Vicente Saldivar. This guy's one of the best featherweights and left-handed fighters of all time, or arguably. You know, this guy's a guy that's been through, you know, one of the largest crowds in boxing history, with 90,000 people attended his fight in the Estadio Azteca. Ruben Olivares, current member of the Hall of Fame. Some considered him as Mexico's greatest fighter for a really long time. There's also Carlos Zarate, one of the best punchers, all right? This guy's one of the best punchers. 66 wins, 63 by KO. First boxer in history to ever have 2 streaks of 20 knockouts or more in a row. That is no joke. All right, now we also have, and I'm trying to finish this, Salvador Sanchez. If he wouldn't have died, he got in a car crash in his Porsche in 1982. But before that, he fought Wilfredo Gomez in Las Vegas, knocked him out in 8 rounds, became very popular after that. 44 wins, 32 KOs, 1 loss, 1 draw. We also have Julio Cesar Chavez, obvious legend, 107 wins, 86 by KO, 6 losses, 4 KOs, 4 by KO, 2 draws, 115 total fights. All right, won 31 world title fights. This guy's insane and probably one of the most well-known Mexican fighters. Then we also have Ricardo Lopez El Finito, 51 wins, 38 by KO, 1 draw. Never lost in the amateurs, never lost as a professional, one of the best fighters to ever do it. The reason why I did this video is because I can find information on Joe Louis and all that, but I can't find information on this. I feel that a lot of Mexican fighters get overlooked. Yes, we're part of the lighter weighter divisions, but we have great fighters, and you can't, if you don't recognize these fighters, you're missing out of a lot of boxing history. You're taking off the head of boxing.